So this Lord of the Rings of Power thing has definitely exposed Amazon in more ways than one, and pretty much every single time we get new information about the show, every single time we get new marketing material about Rings of Power, or anything that involves this show, it makes super fans, it makes fans, and just fans in general, not even just Lord of the Rings fans, but also just fans of media in general, it makes us saddened, because I'm not one of those people who's a diehard Lord of the Rings fan. I do really like the IP, I'm just not that diehard when it comes to lore knowledge and things like that, and I can't spot contradictions as well as other people can who are lifelong diehard Lord of the Rings fans. But even people like me who just, I love the IP. I think it's a really good IP. I think it's a really good story. I love the universe. But even people like me, this affects us because this is showing Amazon, this is showing other studios like Amazon, if this show were to succeed, that this is okay to do. It's okay to totally contradict the source material. It's okay to totally disrespect Tolkien and the creators, the original creators of all these other IPs, like Disney Star Wars did with George Lucas. Totally disrespected him, totally threw all of his work out of the window when it came to the sequel trilogy, especially episode 9. That totally just contradict everything that happened in the original trilogy when it comes to Palpatine, Anakin, all that stuff. But anyway, going back to Lord of the Rings, I just think that this is a big battle over fandom versus these major studios with these reboots and the continuations where they take these old legacy IPs and they try to ruin them. And they're not trying to ruin them. They're trying to just inject their own politics into them and not really care too much about respecting the source material and respecting the original creators of these IPs. YouTuber Living Anachronism claims it's much more valuable for Amazon to corrupt the Lord of the Rings than it will be profitable. The YouTuber made his assertion in a video titled "Defending Tolkien, Amazon's Rings of Power is a Distraction," or the trailer is a distraction. And he made some really good points whenever he talked about the trailer. There's no doubt about it. And I think this is a lot of points that a lot of other people are making as well. I just think this article put it in a very good way. By the way, this article is from Bounding Into Comics. Shout out to them. He began the video sharing a clip of his predictions of the trailer. He says, "If I were Amazon, I was trying to push through something that I know was going to upset people. I wouldn't really share any information with this trailer." So what he's saying is, if he knew that his show was going to upset people, if he were Amazon in this situation, he wouldn't show any of that stuff in the trailer because that would at least make them go watch the show. Originally give the show a shot if the trailer looked good and they didn't put all the stuff that we already know is going to be in there from the images and everything that they've been saying. The OneRing.net, we'll go over that in 1 second. Everything that we know about the show, we already know that we're not going to enjoy it that much. But if they put a good trailer out there that doesn't show any of that stuff that we know that we're not going to like about the show, we might end up giving the show a shot. And he's right about that. I would tease just enough that people will be like, okay, it looks interesting, it looks cool, it's flashy, maybe a minute tops, not give anything about the story, not really say anything, so that I can delay the huge amount of backlash and prevent anyone from boycotting the show as much as possible until it's released. And that's pretty accurate. I think that's what a lot of these shows like to do. Like He-Man, I always bring it up because it's very similar to this situation. They pull these baits and switches. The He-Man situation was even worse though, because Kevin Smith just straight up lied after the plot got leaked for the show that it wasn't going to be about He-Man. Then they continued to release trailers and all kind of marketing material and images that showed He-Man at the forefront of the show. Then the show came out and everything that we already knew came true. The show wasn't about He-Man. This show, same thing. They're trying to not show it too much in the trailers, even though they are showing it here and there in the trailer. But with the marketing images, they're straight up telling us that this is going to directly contradict all of Tolkien's work, and they just don't care, and they've been very open about that. They just do not care about Tolkien's work. They don't care about Tolkien. They don't care about the original fans or the fans of the original, Lord of the Rings movies. They don't care. They're just going to do whatever they want to do, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But I think that Amazon is very much underestimating the power of this fandom and the power of fandom in general, especially when everyone's coming together against a common enemy like this Lord of the Rings show. Because it doesn't matter what side of politics you're on. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you don't want there to be contradictions to the lore. It's the same thing with Star Wars. At some points, there's Star Wars fans that are just totally split. With the sequel trilogy, The Last Jedi, it's pretty split. But then there's certain points within those movies, there's certain points within the Star Wars fandom where we are split. And then there's certain points where we can just completely come together and say, you know what? This is just bad. This is bad for, George Lucas's legacy. This is bad for Star Wars legacy. And it's the same thing with this Lord of the Rings show. Obviously, probably in the future with this Lord of the Rings content that Amazon makes or maybe someone else makes it, there'll probably be a split fandom. But for this show, it seems like other than that really small group of weirdos who, their cult-like following of the OneRing.net, which I said we'll talk about in 1 second, this absolutely idiotic tweet. Other than those small group of weirdos, pretty much everyone out there is against this show, especially because of all that we know about it with the race swapping and just the total direct contradictions to the original, Lord of the Rings movies and Tolkien's work. living anachronism explained, because then once it's released and people see it, then we go, yup, it's exactly what we thought it would be. It's absolute trash. I can't believe they've done this. How could they do this? Now we're going to have to wait like another decade until the IP cools down enough so we get another shot at it. And I hope that's not the case. I hope that they can get another shot at it sooner than a decade. And I hope that they can learn their lesson from this, because I think that the only good thing that they can get out of this show is the lesson that's to be learned. That's the only positive that they can get out of this show, because they're not going to make too much money. They're not going to get too much good reviews off of it. They're not going to get too much positive press off of it. So the only thing that they can really get from making this show is learning the lesson that this, go woke, go broke is really the lesson. It's summed up in a nutshell. I know that phrase is really overused, but it's true. It's the complete truth. You go woke, you go broke nowadays. And I think as more things go woke, the go woke, go broke crowd is getting larger and larger. And we're just fed up with this stuff. It's not going to go over well the longer this goes on. The pendulum is going to have to swing the other way, and very soon. Or these companies are just going to stop making content because they're going to stop profiting off the content. It's as simple as that. Like I said, the OneRing.net also had a very, very controversial tweet the other day. They put both of the images that everyone freaked out about, that everyone is like, this makes no sense for obvious reasons. They put this one and this one, the dwarf with no beard. And then they did this. And let's check out the replies to this tweet. I'm assuming there's no official look at Lenny Henry yet, given that the photo they used seems to have his head photoshopped onto a studio shot of Martin Freeman. And look at that outfit. And let's go check the photoshopped image. Yep, it's directly the same thing. They photoshopped the man's head onto the body. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I feel like they're just straight up mocking the fans at this point. Like, yep, we're race swapping everyone, and we don't care. And we just don't care. We're adding these races in, and we know that it makes you mad, so we're going to keep doing it, and we're going to make it even more blatant by photoshopping a head onto Bilbo Baggins' body. It's directly mocking the fans, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments if you don't think they're trying to mock the fans, because in my opinion, they're directly trying to mock the fans. But, and the OneRing.net has been very closely involved with Amazon. There's no doubt about it. They've definitely been involved in the promotional material. They've gotten a lot of things early. They've gotten a lot of insider access that a lot of other media outlets haven't had. So the OneRing.net is definitely closely associated with Amazon. And if I remember correctly, I believe the OneRing.net used to be kind of all for the Lord of the Rings fandom, all types of fans. And as soon as this show got announced, they kind of just flipped a switch, and they kind of went totally against anyone who wasn't against the contradictions that were going on in this show. And, they're very much saying, if you don't like the contradictions to Tolkien's legacy, if you don't like the contradictions to the original Lord of the Rings, then this show's not for you, and you shouldn't check it out. The Rings of Power is, they're repping the Rings of Power really hard, and they're not very tolerant of fans who don't think the Rings of Power is going to be good. So they totally did totally flipped the switch whenever this Amazon Lord of the Rings series got announced. They are not bringing anything to Tolkien's Legendarium because the Amazon series is not canon. It's just really expensive fan fiction. And I think he's right, not just for the fandom, because the fandom are probably going to not really recognize this as canon, especially the major diehard fans. They're not really going to care about this canon too much because, like I said, I don't think Amazon cares about the canon. I don't think they're trying to add anything of substance to the canon. They're just simply trying to make something with the Lord of the Rings name on it and put a bunch of diversity, inclusion, politics, propaganda into it. That's it. That's all they care about. So I don't think it's going to really affect the canon that much, especially for the diehard fans who are just like, I'm not counting that as canon. That's not cool. But also, I don't think it matters to Amazon. I don't think that they care about adding to the canon. I think they just wanted to make an expensive fan fiction with the Lord of the Rings name on it. I think they wanted to make a Game of Thrones type show, and they were like, you know what, let's go get the Lord of the Rings IP. That will get us a lot of viewers off the bat. So it's a bad situation, man. This is making it even worse when you do things like this. When you Photoshop Lenny Henry's head onto Martin Freeman's body, it's just not a good look. It's not a good look for the fans who want the show to be good. It's not a good look for Amazon, who want to get good reviews on the show and also make a lot of money off the show. And it's also not a good look for the OneRing.net, who they're already not very tolerant of fans who aren't going to like this show, who are thinking that this show is going to be bad. And now this is even a worse look for them. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about the whole situation. What do you think about everything that's going on with this Amazon Lord of the Rings show, The Rings of Power? If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter, the link to that will be in the description as well. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.